The evening of May 3rd, 1975 began like any other for 48-year-old sheet metal worker Alois Olenick. Little did he know that his routine drive to a nearby store would become one of the most significant, unexplained encounters in San Antonio's history. At approximately 9:15 p.m, Alois was driving his 1959 Chevrolet pickup truck westward on Mogford Road, just south of San Antonio, Texas. The night was clear and ordinary until something extraordinary caught his attention. I noticed a strange amber-coloured object rise rapidly upward from a grove of trees, Alois would later report. The mysterious craft had emerged from a wooded area approximately 900 yards into the pasture that adjoined the road. What happened next would change Alois' life forever. The unidentified object approached his vehicle at what he described as a terrific rate of speed, while simultaneously losing altitude as it closed in on his pickup truck. During this rapid approach, Alois observed the primary light on the front of the vehicle transform from amber to what he called a bright cherry red, growing increasingly intense as the object drew nearer. When the craft got directly over the top of my pickup, my lights went completely out and my engine was dead, Alois reported. The complete electrical failure of his vehicle was immediate and total. Initially confused by the situation, Alois' first rational thought was that perhaps a helicopter was passing over his vehicle. As I was trying to get out of the pickup, I thought it was a chopper passing on top of me at first, he explained. However, this mundane explanation quickly evaporated as the craft hovered directly above him. Then when they hovered over the top of me and I got a good look at it, I knew it was no chopper, Alois stated with conviction. I thought to myself, that's got to be a UFO. The encounter, while brief, provided Alois with an extraordinary opportunity to observe both the craft and its occupants in considerable detail. The entire close-range interaction lasted between 10 and 20 seconds, but in that short span of time, Alois was able to gather remarkably specific information about what he was witnessing. He described the object as basically globular in shape, with protrusions on either side that could have been a central ring, making an overall Saturn shape. The bottom of the craft appeared to be made of highly polished metal with a reddish glow, which Alois thought might have been a reflection from the bright cherry red light on the front of the craft. Most significantly, the craft featured a transparent dome on its top section. Through this clear portion, which seemed to be backlit with a diffuse reddish light, Alois could clearly observe two non-human entities. During the hovering phase of the encounter, the vehicle was tilted at approximately a 40-degree angle and positioned in such a way that one of the occupants was directly in Alois' line of sight. This orientation gave him an unusually clear view of the beings inside the craft. They appeared to be just as interested in me as I was in them, Alois commented. He went on to describe the occupants in detail. One of the occupants, the one farthest away from me, appeared to be the pilot and had his hands on what looked like controls. He was looking up and away from me. The other occupant looked directly at me, a side view right at my windshield, and appeared to be observing me. Alois was emphatic about the non-human nature of the beings he observed. I got a good look at both of them. They weren't human beings like we see here, he insisted. He estimated that they were relatively small in stature, with him stating that they were probably not over 5 feet tall. The beings had several distinctive physical characteristics. They were bald, with long prominent ears and long noses. Their eyes were particularly unusual, appearing as mere slits in their faces. Investigators later speculated that these slit-like features could have been lids or protective membranes designed to shield their eyes from intense light. According to Alois, the being's skin was not like our skin. It appeared to me to sort of look like sharkskin, a sort of a grey colour. He noted that it appeared smooth and taut, without wrinkles, and described the beings as having a compact, solid build. Throughout the close encounter, Alois reported that there was no conventional engine noise coming from the craft. There was no motor noise during the time it was over my truck, he stated. Instead, he heard what he described as a whirring shriek of wind, which he compared to the sound of a cyclone. It was very loud, he emphasised. The departure of the craft was as dramatic as its arrival. When the craft left, it took off straight up, Alois reported. There was a terrible thrust that buffeted my pickup, and then it vanished almost instantly. It was just like turning off a light bulb. The abrupt disappearance left Alois wondering whether the object had simply gone beyond his field of vision, or if it had somehow achieved instantaneous acceleration to an extraordinary speed. During the encounter, Alois detected a very strong severe odour like burning copper or electrical wiring, while the craft hovered over his truck. This distinctive smell persisted in his vehicle for several days after the incident. Alois also suffered from eye strain, which investigators believed might have been slight damage resulting from exposure to the intense red light emanating from the craft. A month after the encounter, Alois, who worked outdoors with sheet metal, was still wearing dark glasses to protect his eyes and prevent headaches. Interestingly, Alois reported no physiological effects such as paralysis during the encounter itself. However, he did experience emotional stress and prolonged nervousness following the incident, though investigators were uncertain whether these symptoms had a physical cause or were simply psychological responses to such an extraordinary experience. Looking back on the event, Alois shared his impression of what might have been happening during those brief moments of contact. "I feel like they got a look at me and maybe got my picture or something and then turned their lights off and vanished," he suggested. The Olenick case was later investigated by Gary Graber of the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, which was based in Seguin, Texas. After conducting detailed interviews with Alois, Graber concluded that the majority of events happened as related. The investigator noted that Alois was familiar with the types of aircraft commonly seen in the San Antonio area and dismissed any possibility that the craft could have been a helicopter or other conventional aircraft. Alois's encounter occurred during a period of significant UFO activity across the United States. While his sighting took place in 1975, it didn't receive widespread public attention until nearly 3 years later. In February 1978, the San Antonio Evening News published an article about Alois's experience, noting that this incident and many others remain unexplained. The newspaper article appeared during a time of renewed public interest in UFOs, sparked in part by the release of the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The movie had smashed attendance records across the country, and UFOs were getting more publicity than at any time since the last big UFO flap in 1973. The article explained the classification system developed by Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who had served as technical advisor for the Close Encounters film. According to this system, a close encounter of the first kind involved merely seeing something that could not be explained, while a close encounter of the second kind occurred when a UFO left some form of evidence, such as burned rings on the ground or radar traces. A close encounter of the third kind, the category into which Alois's experience fell, involved actually meeting or seeing the occupants of a UFO. The San Antonio area has long been known as a prime site for UFO spottings, according to the newspaper report. 2 UFO organisations in the region were described as very active in investigating unexplained events at the time Alois's story became public. Alois Olenick's experience on Mogford Road that May evening in 1975 remains one of the most detailed and credible accounts of a close UFO encounter on record. His clear observations of both the craft and its occupants, combined with the physical effects on his vehicle and his own body, make this case particularly noteworthy among UFO reports. While Alois continued with his life as a sheet metal worker in San Antonio, his extraordinary experience on that spring evening became part of the larger mosaic of unexplained aerial phenomena that continue to challenge our understanding of what shares our skies. The Olenick case exemplifies what investigators consider a close encounter of the third kind in its purest form, a direct observation of non-human entities associated with an unidentified craft, accompanied by physical effects on both the environment and the witness. Despite the passage of time, the details of what Alois Olenick experienced south of San Antonio on May 3, 1975, remain as compelling and unexplained today as they were when they occurred.